Hutton Orbital isn't exactly famous for being a quiet place where meditation is encouraged. Partly because we want to keep the Mad Monks of Barnard Star as far away as possible. But mostly because the combined noises of Van Tien's cries of "Bugger, I've got red on me, and it's not tomato flavoured," and Mia's attempts to get into the Guinness Book of Galactic Records with the highest number of times you can nut a microphone during a broadcast, Amelia's warm-ups for her end-of-show battle cry, Flossy's pan-throwing exercises in order to be able to catch the miscreants who are out of arm's reach, and the various bodily gurglings that are wont to occur when you've got a diet as poorly organised as this lot. Well, with all of that, it's usually hard to hear yourself think, so we don't bother. Thinking, that is. All of that's changed this week. Rudolph Hooker's abandoned ship again. I don't know, 1 week back in the studio and he's got to go for a lie down. No stamina, some people. And Mia's watching little teeny wisps of smoke curl gently upwards from the mangled remains of her computer. Which seems like an over-the-top way of stopping the police from checking your browser history, if you ask me, but who am I to judge? So, let's take advantage of their absence. We'll set the end-of-show alarm to an hour earlier, send a message to Sandrine to pick a movie for later on, and we'll get this week's loads of delightful and terribly informative — no, really, we are terrible at informing — nonsense out of Studio 5 and into your brains, where it'll no doubt lodge like a tuneless earworm until the Megagin is opened. It only remains for me to ask, what state are the mics in, Wilma?
Our mics are live. Good evening, I'm Wilma Fingerdoo, and I believe that practice makes perfect.
I'm Wayne Kerr, and that must make me the perfect gin delivery system.
I'm Norma Snockers, and I thought that was a martini glass.
I'm Sandy Crevice, and I don't care how my gin's delivered, as long as it gets to me ready to drink.
Quick, play the headlines before he starts drinking one's stock.
Insightful, incisive investigations into an internecine invasion induces apologetic absence.
Are we in or are we out? And more to the point, why?
Too hot, too messy goes into 6 figures.
Time to see who's hot and who's not.
As ever, Hutton Orbital News likes to be at the heart of the story, at the forefront of the breaking headlines, and, in some cases, though we do try to avoid it, the subject of our very own incisive investigative reportage. To that end, Hutton's apology officer, Mia Harkness, has put on the hard hat with press written on top of it, which has led to a number of incidents where people think they're very funny and take the instructions literally, and headed out to the rescue megaships for some vox pops, some top shots, and of course, some headlines from the latest developments in the Thargoid conflict. With the combat side of the war itself safely in the bag, for the time being, until Tharg the Mighty releases some mighty new minions on the universe with even more Tharg-launched thuckers, and big bad beams to zap commanders into the middle of next week, our focus has turned to the rescue operations. Hutton aren't strangers to rescuing people from burning stations, ignoring their pleas for a diversion to buy a pot plant, or pick up some booze, and dumping them on a waiting megaship, or to station repairs. But the latest rescue operation involved kidnapped pilots, people and persons who have been kept incarcerated in the Titans at the heart of the maelstroms. Using the latest in technologies, we've not only spotted that the captured civilians are being held on the Titans for some unknown reason, Tharg the Mighty has been keeping them incredibly close to the surface, and easily accessible to anyone with a crowbar, a few explosives, a big spoon, or some funky CG reward technology. The apology officer isn't interested in the actual mechanics of the rescues, but is very interested in the rescuees. With the operation now having rumbled along for a not insignificant period, and the effect of the Thargoid War even more pronounced than poking a scythe with a probinator before running away giggling, concerns are that we've heard nothing from the people being rescued. Normally, anyone involved in an alien abduction makes their first call not to a doctor to work out what those green things are on their skin, nor to the authorities to help give valuable intel to their captivity, but to the Red Tops. The galactic salacious news outlets are eager for tales of probing, or alien life, or whether your cat was kidnapped as well, and what it now does when the lights go out. But, to date, there's a stony silence. No tales of where they were kept. Do Thargoid prisons have bars? What does the porridge taste like? Was there probing? And where did they do it? Get your mind out of the gutter. We meant, was it in a lab on a metal table or just while quibbling on the floor of a dank, squidgy, slightly green cell? Were the captives conscious throughout? Did they see a Thargoid? In person? Can they tell the Hutton sketch artist what one looks like? So we can do one of those courtroom-style drawings that makes President Hudson look like a slightly hairy potato. And what's more, there's no word from Canon Interstellar, or the rest of the science community, the reputable half, as to whether the captives were impregnated, infected, or otherwise thoroughly interfered with by the Thargoids. Are the megaships a subtle way for Tharg to extract his, or her, or their mighty revenge on humanity by giving everyone the Thargoid equivalent of a rather nasty strain of lurgy, in an attempt to wipe out humanity? This and much more information will be coming soon, once the apology officer returns, passes quarantine, and they stop screaming. Do we sound suspicious that this was all too easy? Well, yeah. The captives weren't exactly kept in the Xeno equivalent of Colditz, or the Rock. They might as well have spacewalked on their own volition. And that is very suspicious. We smell a cover-up of a scale not since Madonna's latest tour, and attempting to convince the galaxy that yes, it is her natural look, and no, she hasn't applied it with a trowel or surgery.
Whilst detailed information on doing the do, and what the do is in Hutton space always forms part of the BGS report at the end of this bulletin, sometimes it's important to look at the why and what of particular events in the galaxy. We turn the Hutton roving eye towards one of the wolves, more particularly Wolf 629. We didn't do it deliberately, mind. It's one of those things. Someone got a little expansive in one of our other systems. We turned up there as a minor faction and were minding our own business. And then someone put us on the ballot paper. Before we go into the who of our opposition, we'll look at the system itself. A relatively small system, think the naughty step plus a little bit. It's an agricultural economy with a side order of refining things, with a population of 50,671. None of the planets warrant a proper name. They've all got exciting numbers like 1 and 2 and 2D. Actually, it's all ice planets and gas giants. Okay, why are we in an election to own this place? It sounds like Space Swindon to me. Do we really want Space Swindon? Or possibly Telford? Maybe Milton Keynes, but smaller. However, it's owned by the Dark Wheel. Now, if you don't know who they are, then, well, you've not been boning up on your recent history of space, the bubble, the Thargoids, and mysterious forces behind the powers that be. The Dark Wheel, that organisation mentioned in whispered tones alongside names like Raxler and Jameson and Ryder, the kind of organisation that has a funny handshake and an initiation ritual and a secret headquarters and likes to wear black and maybe a little insignia. The kind of place that has a big imposing front door and a scary doorman that insists on a dress code. Anyway, they expanded a couple of years ago with the help of pilots who weren't in the Dark Wheel, but bought into their philosophy. There were Galweb and social media rumours that if the Dark Wheel expanded into Sol, then a magic gate would open and pilots would be heralded to Raxla by a herd of space unicorns. Now, we tried telling them that it was impossible to expand into Sol. We tried. We did it once accidentally and we broke the entire universe, which is how we expanded in the funny way we did and ended up in Wolf 359. Did they listen? Or did they hack? So they got nearby, having trampled on a number of other factions en route, and nothing. So much nothing that they got a little upset. Nothing has been heard from them for a long while, and as it was before this expansion, they've gone back to being secretive and hiding. As such, the locals appear to have got fed up of not having local councillors to moan at about the state of the potholes in the roads, or parking, or who's responsible for picking up the pieces of all the smashed ships. And as such, with Hutton's arrival, they petitioned Alvin to take the ball and run with it. Which of course he loves, especially if someone's chasing him and they want their ball back. So, Wolf 629. It's boring as heck. It's like Space Belgium, just without the beer or chocolate. But they love us, so we'll do the do.
After 62 weeks, or 14 months, Too Hot, Too Messy, the Hutton-led initiative to deliver a Hutton mug and magazine with which to fill it to all stations in the galaxy is a mere smidge of a gnat's crotchet away from 100,000 mug deliveries. The 4-weekly average is creeping back up above 1,000 per week, and after a lean spell over the summer. But we will see the 100,000th mug delivered during the show. Commander Chicks is still leading the deliveries table with over 16,600 mugs delivered. Some say that is delivered to 1 in 6 of all mugs. Waller 81 is in second place with over 14,400 deliveries, ahead of Nemb in the third with over 7,600. Of course, we all know all this because it's tracked by the marvel that is the Hutton Helper and updated live on the Too Hot Too Messy event page at hot.forthemug.com/hot_mess_2. Traffic is moderate at Hutton this week, but you should be able to get parked on the small pads without any delays. Gin production was reported to be rationed to 14 tonnes per visit, which is average. Medium ships may have to be patient though, and large ships should have checked the size of Hutton before they left. The Hutton run times were: the Burke, 2 runs, 1 hour, 23 minutes, 19 seconds. Norbert Patternord, 1 hour, 23 minutes, 50 seconds. And Uber Dave 5993, 3 runs, 1 hour, 24 minutes, 31 seconds.
Things are still generally not too bad, or kind of alright, or fair to middling, whatever the hell that means, in Hutton space this week. No fewer than 5 systems are on the naughty step, with 1 particularly low, and we have 2 systems in need of some truckling assistance. More on those stories coming up. Following Hutton's narrow 4-3 victory 2 weeks ago, the factions in Ross 671 appear to have developed something of a taste for squabbling. 2 days ago, the other 6 were paired off against each other in some war, civil or otherwise, leaving Hutton to be peaceable and the odd one out. Presently, 4 of them are still at it, leaving Hutton on a paltry 23 points, securing this week's wooden spoon by some margin. Ross 671 Interstellar, the victor of the other war, is now in second place, just 5 points behind Hutton. The other 2 conflicts will lock up all but a fifth of system influence until early next week, so don't be surprised if we get challenged for control. Barnard Star managed to sort out its infrastructure failure fairly quickly this week, but lost 4 points in doing so, leaving it on 31. Most of the other factions are still seeing famine and civil unrest, and there is a brief window to boost Hutton's influence before an election starts in a day or so. Stein 2051 joins 36 Offiyuki on 34, and annoyingly each have a civil war tying up a quarter or so of the influence. Lastly, Epsilon Eridani has slipped to 39, but with all the other crap going on, no one will notice. probably. An infrastructure failure has taken systems offline in Wolf 359, which is a shame, as it's our go-to system for power generators and water purifiers. A good alternative for these commodities is Velasquez Gateway in Wolf 1481, so stock up and ship them into the large pads in Powell High and Low Mass Orbiter. In our home system of Alpha Centauri, the poor security situation of several months, which was suppressing Centauri Megagen production, has been taken advantage of by terrorists, and the system is now under terrorist attack. Clean out the pirates and terrorists by taking suitable missions and hand in any Hutton bounties and redeem combat bonds in Alpha Centauri. The large pad surface stations are still mostly offline, so take the restore missions to bring them back online and secure the system. At the overachieving end of the Hutton systems table, we have 6 systems above 60%, half of which are over 70. Expect expansions. Priorities this week are, if you want to truck something, relieve the infrastructure failure in Wolf 359, and if you want to shoot something, take suitable missions and vaporize some criminals, hand in Hutton bounties and combat bonds in Alpha Centauri.
Well, dare I say that was quite seamless.
Yeah.
Seamless.
Seamless.
Yeah, seamless. Did we have a Frontier live stream this week?
No,
it's
it's
next week,
been
isn't it?
moved
It's
again.
not.
It's been moved again.
Oh, God. God.
It's now on the 24th.
24th.
It's like the stationary cabinet at work. It was always
I think
moving
we want
around.
to get the update in first. Let's
Wow.
get over the update and then...
There's an update.
Yes.
Why is it not in the script?
Ooh.
Oh, I don't know, but it'll
What-
be on
which
Monday.
update is
It's
this?
on Monday, 17.
Oh, my Lord.
Is it a big update?
Big enough, I think, yeah.
Is it 17?
Update
Yep,
17.
It's update
on the
17 on the
16th.
16th,
Yeah.
because
Right.
obviously it'll be far too confusing to have some numbers match
And
up.
apparently the details of it will be released tomorrow.
On the
notes of the
13th.
update. Yeah.
Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Is it a large enough update to warrant backing up your controls?
Always.
Don't know, I never do.
Always.
So this is a little
Always.
reminder to everyone out there, back up your controls.
Is it a big enough update not to go and visit your place that doesn't have like really super fast broadband? Sorry, I'm going anyway. Right.
Dun, dun, dun.
So we have space news.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, shall we explain? We're a little bit light on the ground today, aren't we?
We are, yeah.
Numbers are
But we do have a lot of
Numbers
space
are not
news.
what we're good at, you see. So
no.
yeah,
We do have an
basically,
awful lot of space news.
Yeah, like
Basically,
extra space news.
yeah, Dave's had to go for a lie down because one entire show of working with us lunatics has it's just been too much for him. So he's in a darkened room and weeping softly.
It's because I
Another
made
couple
him
weeks, we
shout
should
for the mug at the
recover.
end of the show, wasn't it?
It probably didn't help. And Mia has unfortunately tried to deep fry and batter her docking computer. So,
As you do.
and we assume that's why there's smoke coming out the back of it anyway. So,
That's a
It's-
normal
it's-
thing for the Scottish.
It's probably
Yeah.
just as well that that hard drive died, given what's probably on it.
well, it was your old one, wasn't it?
It was my old one.
all that battleship porn.
Yes. Yes. It's lots of grey.
Yeah. All those 8-inch guns.
6.
All 6 8-inch guns.
12. God. Breech loading
They're
Mark
getting bigger.
23. Go
I
on.
don't want to know about your breech loadings.
Load my breeches. Go on. Who's gonna talk about? Oh, go on. That's definitely got you written all over it, Amelia.
That wasn't me.
Oh,
mine, that one.
I didn't write over anything.
Yep. NASA are proud to announce that they have built a brand new outdoor exterior external litter tray that's just about big enough for mooncake.
Look at the size of it. That's actually quite small for an assault course for a moon rover.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a Moon and Mars rover sandbox, so they can experiment with all sorts of weird terrain and different ground textures and slope angles and stuff like that, and see how it performs with rocks. Why is this news?
Because they must have about 4 of these already. Do you remember the time?
Because it's new and it's big and it's snazzy.
It's not that big. You remember the time Brian Cox laid down in front of the Earth-based Curiosity? Was it Perseverance or Curiosity? I can't remember. But basically a 1-ton rover. And it sort of figured out there was an obstacle in front of it, and it drove round him. That was huge.
So is this.
This looks like an alpine garden without the plants.
Absolutely.
I got to admit, I thought it would be bigger.
It's well, there's no banana in it, so it's hard to judge the scale.
That is true. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very true. Yes.
Yeah.
What's that? Is that the end of a HB pencil sticking out in the middle there, or is that something else?
Is that a lawn light? It's meant to be the hard area.
Right. Okay.
It's something like 150 meters square or ridiculous like that. So it is actually fairly large.
Is that like a lawn light that you see in the middle there?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is it during?
No, it's an HB pencil.
It does look like an HB pencil. It's like a UNC thread. Right.
Yes.
So they've built a space park for the space robots to play in.
Yes.
And Mooncake's co-opted it.
Yeah, don't go digging too much in the grit.
She would love that. She'd go nuts.
Yeah, we wouldn't. The bane of many a gardener.
Mm-hmm.
Confused cats. No, that's a flower box, not a litter tray.
So you could plant tomatoes all the way along that fence there.
Or potatoes.
Potatoes, yeah.
Let's call the whole thing off.
You could plant tomatoes instead.
So why can't Americans spell zodiac?
I don't know. Why can't Americans spell zodiac?
Because they spell it with an X.
What?
Yeah. The Zodiac suborbital vehicle has resumed flight testing.
Oh.
Or should that be the Xodiac?
Zodiac.
Exodiac. It sounds like, one of those adverts when you're in the States and all of a sudden an advert cuts into the middle of a film. Use Zodiac, Best suppository ointment in this.
That looks like a very painful but probably self-propelled
Probinator.
From your local pharmacy.
Direct to you.
Rocket-propelled Probinator.
I see the future of this, and it's a crane on its back. Having seen many cranes on their back.
What was that? Because it rolled over laughing.
Well, that's anyway. Tell us about this thing. What does it do? Otherwise, it isn't space news. It's space curiosity, and we already have one of those.
Read the article.
Well, come on, tell us about it. So I don't have to.
Astrobotic announced that it completed the first campaign of test flights by Zodiac. A vertical takeoff, vertical landing vehicle, since acquiring it and other Maston Space System assets last year.
But what's it for?
Well, let me have a look. I will find out. Apparently it was built several years ago in Maston Space Systems, based in Mojave.
Don't you love it when they read the slides out?
Yeah.
Next slide, please.
Propulsion test.
Further down now.
Propulsion testing.
What's the point of it?
Propulsion testing. I just answered.
Oh, I see. Well, okay, that's great. What's next?
That's charming. You missed the best quote in it. We're pretty much back to flying it, doing maintenance, flying it, and doing maintenance again. I mean, how much more info do you need from an article?
I've already got a hobby.
Yeah, but that paint doesn't dry itself. You need to watch it carefully.
Yeah, true, very true. Depends what it is. It's the primer I'm using at the moment. Christ, Goes off in the on the roller.
It feels kind of alien to tell you what a bit of space news is about, because normally you know it all.
Well, I didn't bother pre-reading these articles. I did put the last two in because I thought that would be the space news. But clearly, you've scraped the barrel much harder than I did.
You can blame somebody who isn't present today for these two, for this one and the next one.
Right.
No names mentioned.
Yeah. Does it?
or should there be no numbers mentioned?
Does it involve Kentucky Fried Hard Drive?
No.
No.
The other one.
The other one.
The other one. There's still no numbers mentioned.
Yes.
I think somebody saw the misspelling of Zodiac and thought it was worth a mention.
Yes.
Anyway, Azerbaijanis in space. Azerbaijan signs up to China's International Moon Base project. Ooh.
It's a really pretty picture on this. Very, very artist's impression.
Yeah.
In pastels, I think. But kind of cool.
Are you looking at the same article I'm looking at?
Well, it's...
Yeah, but look at all the pretty space windmills.
Oh, right.
Oh,
You're talking about this
one.
one.
Into the comments. That's just
space
scary.
Windmills.
Space windmills.
It's a line of space windmills.
And space crabs, all tied together with bits of string.
Yeah, but it's space string because it's blue and glowy.
Yes. And
I love the way they've got the visible wireless as well.
But they get the it's like O-level graphic design, isn't it? But what are those red and white space cows joined up with?
No, they're the space crabs.
Yeah, the space crabs.
Well, they've got
they
6 legs.
clangers joined up with blue string.
And just below that, they have got a little diagram pointing to a hole that says there's a snake that lives in that hole.
Oh, God. Right.
That's swallowing a torch.
China's land. Oh, this is really...
But yes, Azerbaijan has joined the Chinese International Lunar Research Program. So they will be signing up as charter members of the Space Base project from China.
Have you noticed how many radioactive symbols they shoved around this image? They're like everywhere.
That's because everything's radioactive.
Yeah, radiation symbols everywhere.
From a distance, that looks like the old Dogs Trust logo.
Dogs Trust who?
Very few people when they've been abandoned.
Yes.
Yeah, but,
Right.
yeah, it's an interesting picture, that one. So yeah, the Chinese have got some additional helpers for their space program.
And they're lasering the Earth.
I'm sure they're thrilled.
Yeah, that as well. Well, they're planning to have a permanent base by sometime in the 2030s, so it's not far away.
What, by
And
half
it's,
the state? They were late. It's should be 28 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's not long at all. They
Well,
expect
at least
to
it's
have...
competition for Artemis. Artemis, the one that will be landing there real soon. Honest. TM.
TM, check back frequently.
Well, Artemis 2 mission should be going up relatively soon now. I mean, sometime in the next year, we should be orbiting the moon again.
We
with
hope.
people.
We hope.
It's a pretty good chance.
It
at
will
this
be
point.
nice, because we haven't been there for a while.
We'll have to drag Bill Anders and Jim Lovell out to show them how it's done.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to bring back any more rocks. Are they landing?
Well,
Not this time.
the next two articles are all about bringing back rocks.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but not from the moon. Not from the moon.
Ooh,
It's not the same if they're not from the moon. You can't get moon rocks from anywhere else.
that's true.
Blackpool.
You can get Blackpool rocks
Actually,
from
technically,
anywhere else,
we can get moon rocks. We already have moon rocks. There's like a couple hundred of them on planet Earth. They were given out to all
There's still, I think about 2/3 of what was brought back is still in storage. It's never been looked at.
right, but there's a lot of them that are just
there's like
unaccounted for, and
Like 300 kilos or something. It's like 1/3 of a ton of rocks brought back.
Yeah, you can even buy paintings with moon dust in.
apparently.
Yeah.
So,
But anyway,
yeah,
let's
Osiris
go for
Rex.
Yeah. So this, do you remember this? This came back a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
Sort of landed in the Utah desert
desert.
somewhere.
Yep.
Well, they've now opened it up. Have they not watched the Andromeda strain? Anyway,
Yes, but they used a better glove box. And no flashy red lights for the people that were photosensitive epileptic.
Oh yeah, who's that? Can't remember her name now.
No.
But anyway, they're very excited about it. They said basically it's full of carbon, or it's got lots of carbon. It's about 5% carbon by weight,
Which is higher than they were expecting.
Yep, and it's got lots of water, obviously frozen in it, but it's pretty much consistent with what the astronomical observations suggested it would be. So,
And how much did they get?
oh god, 250 grams, I think it is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Not very much, but more than enough for what. Oh, there you go. There's the story.
That guy looks sad.
He was hoping for 275 grams.
Well, I think more than enough. But
Yes, it's more than they were expecting to get, actually.
And in fact, yesterday, the next sort of, not the next, but another space recovery mission. In fact, it's not space recovery. It's designed to go and look at asteroids with the potential of some future recovery. Should have gone off yesterday, but they've got a window of quite a few days. They called it off again today, and it's currently scheduled for tomorrow afternoon. That's the Psyche mission, which is the next story. It's going up on Falcon Heavy.
Is it pronounced Bennu?
Bennu is the asteroid that the sample that came back a couple of weeks ago came from.
And there's the size comparison next to the Empire State Building and the Eiffel
big.
Tower.
Yeah. You wouldn't want that on your toe, would you?
But is it tastier than Barrow in Fairness Bus Depot?
Chewits. Yeah. Yes. Even chewier than a 16-story block of flats.
Actually, the actual sample recovery from Bennu was nearly a bit of an oops, because they were expecting it to be kind of a rock, a great big slab of rock in space. So they built this thing that was designed to be able to scrape a sample off the end of the rock by running into it and blasting any loose material into the air, for want of a better term, into non-contact, so that it could be slurped in and catch just a little tiny bit. When the sample arm hit Bennu, it sank into it more than half the size of the spacecraft.
So it took a big bite.
And if they hadn't been able to fire the retro thrusters to slow it down and reverse it, they were probably going to lose the spacecraft in the asteroid. Turns out it's not so much a great big rock as a great big pile of gravel.
Well, it's kind of what you'd expect, really, isn't it, with bugger all gravity?
Yeah, it's just this heap of rubble in space that happens to be clumping together for warmth and comfort.
Half a kilometre of rubble flying in close formation.
Mm-hmm.
You see that image there with when they opened the sample canister, black dust coated all surfaces.
Yeah. Because when they first pulled away from it with a sample container that was designed to get a few tens of grams, maybe 100 or so, it was overflowing. Literally. They couldn't get the doors on it to close because there was rock stuck in it, because it was absolutely stuffed full. They had to back away and open and close the sample container a couple of times to get it to actually shut.
Have you ever cleaned out the fireplace when there's an easterly blowing?
Have you ever tried cleaning out a vacuum cleaner when somebody forgot to put a bag in it?
Oof.
Oh, no.
Well, if you had a vacuum cleaner that doesn't need bags, you'd be laughing.
Mm-hmm. But that's the sort of thing we're talking about here.
Yeah.
There was an excess of Bennu material. So,
There's a joke in there somewhere, but I can't quite make it. So
This is
the
an
next
interesting
one,
read.
Yeah. So the next one is, I was just talking about, is the Psyche mission. It might go up tomorrow. It's currently scheduled tomorrow afternoon UK time.
Next slide, please.
And Psyche will go and it's basically an observation mission. So they'll go and look at a Psyche asteroid, Psyche 16, and this thing is.
So is Psyche the name of the mission or the name of the asteroid?
Yes, both. So the spacecraft is called Psyche, and it's going to look at the Psyche asteroid, Psyche 16. And it's well, what else are you going to, I think the acronym OMATIC probably failed on this one. They normally come up with a ridiculous acronym and then backfit it into what they want the mission to do. So there you go. So it's basically topography, magnetometer survey, and they basically want to map this thing. And they think it's somewhere, I think it's 30 to 60% metal.
Yeah.
Amongst other things, nickel and cobalt.
Unlike Bennu, which
we have
is
a picture of the
rock
craft
and
there.
carbonaceous crap.
Yeah.
Pretty.
But if you were to recover the whole of this thing, which is not the purpose of the mission at all, we're not going to try and bring this thing down, but in future we might, if any of you like the Expanse and space mining. I know you love space mining, Amelia.
Oh, I do.
But have you seen the number of what the materials would be worth at current market prices?
It's nearly enough to buy a fleet carrier.
Yes.
Jeez.
It's nearly as much as the number of mugs you've delivered.
It's 10 billion. So it's 10 quintillion dollars. This asteroid is
10,000,
worth.
million.
Yeah. So if somebody could, deliver it somewhere and not wiping out the dinosaurs in the process.
Yeah, and also not crash the market for the various metals involved.
Well, bring the price down. You might even be able to afford an electric car by then. But
there is actually an adage in the space industry, though, that the most reliable way to lose $10 million is to set up an asteroid mining company.
I can't remember the name of the book I read once, but they had a technology where they took chunks off the asteroid and they foamed it so it came back to Earth. It was like a metal foam. Mm-hmm. And they plummeted these things into the Pacific, and then ships went along, because of course they were foam, they were full of not
floaty.
Say air, but they were full of voids.
Vacuum.
So these things would pop back to the surface and you just tow them off to like a scrapyard and then chop them up. So there's a Falcon Heavy.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't, I think it's 2029 it gets there to...
yeah, it's a long way out.
Yeah.
It's out in the main belt, isn't it, Psyche?
Yeah, it's Mars flyby to pick up speed. But interesting stuff. It's not all about going to the moon.
Nope.
Oh, there was the number. Just saw flick by.
Sorry, the number?
Just look for the massive number with a dollar sign in front of it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. 8.13 quintillion pounds or 10 quintillion
I'm
dollars.
glad they've converted it from dollars to pounds. It makes such a difference, that 1.87 quintillion that you lose.
And
if it's only 8 quintillion instead of 10 quintillion, I'll have to cancel the second Porsche.
There's a certain irony, and it's reported by James Round. Is that a rounding error?
Yeah.
It's Jim. It's round, Jim, but not...
It's money, Jim, but not as we know.
Yes.
Yeah. Basically, if we could bring it back, it would effectively crash the entire world's mining economies.
Yes.
Because
after
suddenly
it's blasted a hole
wouldn't be
in
worth anything anymore.
Yeah.
The truth of it is that all of the minerals on Earth, we only we give the value of it, It's us that determines what's expensive and what's not,
Yes and no. There are some that are...
If you had that asteroid's resources delivered cleanly to Earth, then suddenly all those resources wouldn't be worth as much as some of the other resources we already have, because we'd have too much of it.
Exactly. That's why we crash the markets.
So what would be worth money? What would be expensive? We'd be giving each other like wooden wedding rings, would we? Or
well, I mean, whatever's worth more. Iron might be worth more, or
pasta.
Well, things that are actually useful are always worth more than things that are completely useless, unless the things that are completely useless are pretty.
It's like diamonds. Diamonds are essentially more common than a lot of other gems, but they're worth more because we place that value on them.
Mostly because the market is very heavily managed on diamonds to force the price up through artificial scarcity.
Well,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's the value that we place on that material.
but we can now make synthetic diamonds that are significantly better than natural ones for pretty much any use, and bigger and purer.
Yeah, but you want to
and
see
cleaner.
the look on her face when you give her a 4.5-inch diamond cutting disc instead of a big rock. I mean, I know which I'd rather have.
Well, yeah,
One of them's
I can
far
imagine
more
she's
useful than the other.
disappointed when you slip a 4.5 inches, chicks. I'm not surprised at all.
I've got a 9-inch grinder.
Yeah, but it makes a funny noise when you use it.
It does. Lots of sparks. There you go, Volcarius. There's a factoid. I believe Volcarius. He was
Yes, Volcarius is very knowledgeable. I believe anything he says.
He says all synthetic diamonds have to have
No.
microscopic serial
he
numbers.
He says that he heard all synthetic diamonds have had to have.
Are you
microscopic
doubting that he
serial numbers.
heard it?
No, I'm sure he heard it because we've just said it out loud.
Artificial ruse of the diamond market doesn't die from it.
Yeah, it wouldn't
It's a
surprise me in the
sensible
least.
rule.
It is actually fairly easy to tell them apart because the synthetic ones are actually significantly purer,
I've
better
just got
crystalline structure, clearer,
this
crisper,
marvellous
brighter.
image in my head of some guy, like on a market stall, selling, get your diamonds, come and get your lovely diamonds, come on. Is it
£3 for £1, you diamonds.
3 for a pound? It's like the guy on the market stall with the vaccine market stall. He says, you can have your Moderna or you can have 3 for a Pfizer.
So that's essentially all the space news we have.
Well, it's all the news we have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do we have a mug winner this week, Flossy?
We
Sure we do.
certainly do.
Would you like a drum roll?
Yes, please. This week's mug winner is Carl Wilkinson. So, congratulations to Carl Wilkinson. If you'd like to contact, I took part at the huttonorbital.com with your contact details, name, address, phone number, and a screenshot of your cockpit showing your commander name. Then we will get a mug sent to you in due course.
And Carl Wilkinson has just lost out to Winnie 1974. Because if Carl Wilkinson had delivered one mug fewer, they would have tied on the fewest number of mugs delivered to get yourself a Hutton mug. So Carl Wilkinson has 13.
Oh, wow.
So
Well, obviously 10 of them were in the last week.
that
and
was a
that's
week
good
well
enough for us.
spent, wasn't it?
It was.
That was half an hour well spent.
So, I mean, we do have a word of the week, but I don't know how I feel about someone other than Mia reading it. What do you guys think?
I wouldn't read that word either.
No.
So
I suppose we could all just watch silently while somebody else read it.
I just did.
Who did you have in
Yeah,
mind?
me too. Oh, no, nobody. I'm just looking at what the word means and then
Right.
and taunting Vulcarius by giving bits of the definition without the word.
Oh, that's so cruel.
Oh, look
Yeah.
at his poor little face in the chat.
Read it like Atris.
This week's word of the week.
Is. Go on, Flossy, you can do it.
Walk.
What does that mean?
To watch someone silently as they eat, in the hope that you will be invited to join them.
Oh, and can you use it in a sentence, please?
I couldn't enjoy Flossy couldn't enjoy her McDargoid's meal as Gusto the Clown was croaking her from outside the window.
Well, there you go.
I'm glad you explained what it meant beforehand.
That's definitely in the category of words that sound an awful lot ruder than they end up being.
Golf Romeo Oscar Alpha Kilo. Croak.
Groke. To watch someone silently as they eat in the hope that you'll be invited to join them.
Little Grey says it's a word to describe Labradors.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Isn't that
Also
positive,
golden retrievers.
positive lab results?
I think the jokes are definitely Mia's.
Yeah, the jokes are definitely Mia's.
Yeah.
We'll leave that to her next week, so that she can save herself from having to rack her brain and come up with a new one.
That sounds like a good idea, because we wouldn't want her running out of jokes.
No, and this one's making me hungry, so we need to move on.
So Flossy, are you ready for this week's CG News?
Yes, I am.
Okay, take it away, Flossy.
It's Flossy. It's Flossy. It's Flossy. It's Flossy. And the community goes.
Hello, Flossy here with this week's CG News. Last week's CG, the celebrations in store for federal election, finished short of Tier 3, with 1,287,913 units collected. The top 75% should receive 2 festive flak launchers. Top 50% will receive a duty counter paint job for a federal gunship. And the top 25% will receive duty counter paint job for federal corvette. I'm never likely to own any of those ships, but never mind. As seems to be the norm these days, there is no CG this week, probably due to the update due next week. And that's it for this week's CG News.
Flossy told you what to do.
Thank you, Flossy. And now it's time for us all to croak Beetlejuice and Waterspoon as they digest the news so that we don't have to.
Galnet News Digest, 12th of October 3309. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news, the People Pods free the Matrix sites. And the federal election finally gets underway.
Rescuing the pod people helps in the fight to repel the Thargoids, and they have even allowed a number of barnacle matrix systems to be cleared, opening up the way to eliminate the Thargoids from all but the 8 Maelstrom systems. The research carried out by Commander Mechan and others shows that burrowing into the Thargoid Titan motherships and scooping up the humans in their biostorage capsules and then turning them in at a rescue megaship has a noticeable effect on the ability of the Thargoids to fight on the front line in counter-strike systems. Each capsule turned in is the equivalent of 1/5 of a Thargoid tissue sample, which doesn't sound all that great until you realise it has the same effect in all the counter-strike systems. Overall, it has a huge effect, but only if you turn the People Pods in to a rescue megaship, not just any old search and rescue contact. Even systems with barnacle matrix sites are affected. In the first week, since the subsurface rescue missile became available, at least 9 such systems have been cleared of Thargoids, leaving barnacle matrix sites in human control. Although the revenants that continue to patrol their little batch of the liberated systems may disagree. Thousands of pods have been rescued already, but there are millions of captives still held by the Thargoids. Now we know that rescuing them also drives the Thargoids out. The Thargoids could have only weeks left before they have to abandon their attempt to take over the bubble. Only 99 formerly human systems are now Thargoid controlled. In all, Thargoids control 433 systems in the bubble, meaning they have lost control of nearly 2/3 of the systems they once occupied. There are no systems invaded by Thargoids this week.
Voting has started in the federal presidential election. But Hudson plans to remain in power until at least the start of 3310. The week of celebration came to an abrupt end when Hudson revealed that he'd remain president for the foreseeable future, regardless of whether Winters or Archer is elected to replace him. The delay is apparently to do with an ancient custom that allows enough time for the president-elect to travel from Beagle Point to Seoul in a stock Sidewinder without any assistance from the fuel rats. The 4 days of election will end on Monday, when the result is expected to be announced. The candidates are Hudson's Vice President Jerome Archer and his running mate Nico Shirakawa, a pair of hardline authoritarian Republicans, and Shadow President Felicia Winters of the Liberal Party, who's chosen to run with the matriarch of the Rochester dynasty, Congressman Isolde Rochester, mother of Congressman Jordan, and the disgraced traitor Jupiter. Early indications are that it'll be a close-run race, but Winters remains the favourite to win, at least partly because her face is more widely recognised. Commanders who contributed to the celebrations have not yet been granted their festive flak cannon. In any case, perhaps it's better to wait until Hudson actually leaves office before trying them out.
The Empire is watching the federal election with detached interest. Since the Emperor, stung by the failure of Salvation's Proteus wave, adopted an isolationist stance, the Empire has had relatively little interest in federal shenanigans. But the election of a new president, something that only happens every 8 or 9 years, is worth a look. Cassia Carvalho, writing for the Imperial Herald, says it is not the people of the Empire, but the Senate that is worried about the election. A newly elected federal president who might want to demonstrate their superiority over the Empire right in the middle of the Thargoid invasion would be a concern. With no immediate prospect of the Emperor ending her isolationist policies, there's not much upside for the Empire to a change of leader in the Federation. Senator and Admiral Denton Petraeus said he'd prefer the predictable posturing of Archer over the cunning and deceit of the ostensibly more Empire-friendly Winters. Only Princess Aisling Duval could see signs of hope. With her cross-superpower experience at Aegis, Aisling expressed hope that whoever the new president may be, they might break the cycle of escalating tensions between the Empire and Federation. She said that Winters could make a good ally for the Empire, but she expressed misgivings about Winters' running mate, Isolde Rochester, whose son, Jordan, Aisling dated 5 years ago. But, after all, who gets on with their prospective mother-in-law?
And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News, we read the news so you don't have to.
Thank you to Beetlejude and Wotherspoon. We hope that all of our croaking didn't put you off your digestion, because we still want you to digest it next week so that we still don't have to, because that's just hard work.
They put a lot of effort in.
They really do. All that chewing.
Yep. Chew, chew, chew.
And I'd hate to see their indigestion tablet bill.
Oh, it must be skyrocketed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's essentially everything we have this week.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
55 minutes roughly. Yeah, it's a reasonable length of show when we're missing 2 presenters.
Yeah.
You can go and watch The Godfather or The Shawshank Redemption.
I know, right? Movie night.
Or Hobbit, the extended version.
Lord of the Rings was better.
Much.
Yes.
Hobbit had some fun moments.
Oh yeah, it was a bit of fun. I'm surprised they managed to stretch out such a massive amount of movie from such a small story, because, you know, The Hobbit in its original form was...
Battle of the Five Armies was like 5 lines in the book.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
They really made the best of it.
They really did. I could have understood them getting 2 movies out of it, but 3 was just...
Well, they wanted it to correlate with the Lord of the Rings, didn't they? They wanted it to be another
They wanted it to
epic.
correlate with enormous money spinners and massive bank balances.
Yes.
Yes. But sadly, it wasn't as good, in my opinion. Too much CG.
No, but on the plus side, it really did manage to characterise all of the dwarves well, which the book never really managed.
True. Very true.
They actually became a dozen characters
But they missed
rather
out,
than
you know,
a string of names that were introduced and then ignored.
Well, Tom Bombadil was missing completely.
I was going to say, they missed out a few big characters that they could have put in,
Well,
really.
yeah, 'cause- well, there wasn't space for them. There was far too much content to get through already. No, wait, hang on.
Anyway, when's the new season of Rings of Power? That's what I want to know.
Oh, God, I haven't even watched
Good
that.
question. Oh, it's a good one, that.
Really.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
heard
nicely
so
done.
much. I've heard so much bad things about it that
Just watch it and don't listen to
No,
other
it's
It gives a
it's
shit
good.
what anyone else thinks.
Yeah, it's Lenny Henry as a Hobbit. What more do you need to know?
Oh, I forgot he was in it. Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
he in
really.
it? Is he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh wow!
He's good. He's good in it as well.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Lenny Henry in years on TV. Wow!
It's the Lord of the Rings from Amazon.
There you go. Sandrine's chiming in with her 2 cents worth.
MPC07 says, and don't forget this liner is in the top 1% of all liners out there. We need a variant of that for some of the lines in this show that say that this one-liner is in the top 1% of all one-liners out there.
What, this bin liner is in the top 1% of all bin liners out there? Was that
Oh,
Are we back to your 7-incher again?
Now
it's a
see,
9?
NPC 07,
grinder.
you know, if you have any suggestions for credits, we are accepting suggestions for credits.
Oh, it's in the chat.
Yeah.
Ah,
So, and that's open to everyone. You can always email us at itookpart@huttonorbital.com with any suggestions you
And
might
take
have
part.
for credits. And take part, yeah. Save us doing all the writing.
And the reading.
yes. You do the show so we don't have to.
Exactly.
That sounds like a plan.
Well, who wants to shout out for the mug tonight?
Don't all brush at once.
Yeah, I was going to
And
say.
if you want.
Yeah, Flossy. Are you ready, Flossy?
I'm ready. For the mug!
For the mug.
For that mug.
Mug.
Are you calling a mug?
No journey too long and no cargo too small. The profit margins never really mattered at all. We're gonna take the cargo where it's needed today. Super cruising all across the Milky Way. We'll take anything, anytime, anywhere. Loading up the T-Nights to the brim with grace. For the mug, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the mug, now everybody sing the Hutton Trucker song. For the mug. Flossy always seems to crash into the sun. Swivel likes the pilot on the Xbox One. Alvin at the front, you know he leads us well. Trucking across the galaxy, now everybody yell. For the mug, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the mug, now everybody sing the Hutton Trucker song. For the mug, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the mug, now everybody sing the Hutton Trucker song. what's needed today. Super cruising all across the Milky Way. We'll take anything, anytime, anywhere. So shout it out loud like you don't even care. Father Berg, yeah, you know just where I'm coming from. Father Berg, now everybody sing the Hutton Trucker song. Father Berg, yeah, you know just where I'm coming from. Father Berg, now everybody sing the Hutton Trucker song.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the show. Everybody's buggered off now, so why don't you bugger off too?
Seamless.